Dr. Brad Bond will serve as the panel moderator for the Legislative Leaders Session. Dr. Bond is the acting dean of the Graduate School at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb and is an associate professor of history. Please welcome Dr. Bond.
It's my pleasure to introduce the members of our legislative leadership panel today. Please welcome Ms. Lauren Myers-Koff-Mueller, legislative correspondent for Senator Richard Durbin, Mr. Benjamin Brockschmidt, who's educational liaison for Congressman Tim Johnson, and Congressman Johnson represents the 15th District here in Illinois. Ms. Patricia McAllister. Patty serves as the Vice President for Government Relations at the Council of Graduate Schools. Our legislative panel members, the two members of the panel closest to me, will contribute to our discussion today in our discussion of the recommendations, the path forward, particularly as those recommendations relate to the role of government, and Ms. McAllister will discuss legislative advocacy for graduate study. To begin the session, Ms. Myers-Koff-Mueller and Mr. Brockschmidt will provide their perspectives on how the leaders of graduate education in Illinois can work with legislators to include graduate education in state plans for talent development and economic growth, and also to develop policies that invite the best and brightest graduate candidates from around the world to graduate programs in Illinois. Ms. McAllister will offer her perspective on how graduate leaders can effectively advocate for the connection between graduate education and talent development and economic prosperity. Our goal for this session is to initiate a continuing discussion on our campuses and between them so that we might more effectively advance economic prosperity of the state through investment in graduate education. I'm going to turn to my right and invite you to go first. Is that okay?
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. I read through the report, and it is exactly right. In order for the U.S. to remain competitive globally, we definitely need to keep producing innovators who can come up with ideas, technologies, and solutions to the national and global problems we face. And graduate schools are a huge, huge way to do this. And it is critical that we support graduate schools in these endeavors, and the federal government plays a big role in this. And there are a lot of ways that the federal government can play a role in this, and it's not just through funding, although that is one of the biggest ways. Part of the report focuses on the need to diversify the pool of applicants and expand it as well. And the federal government can help a lot in this, and one of the ways that my boss is trying to do that is through the DREAM Act, which I'm sure you've all heard about. He's been fighting for that for about 10 years now and has so far not been successful, but hopefully soon he will be able to get that through. But that is one way in which students from the U.S. who have graduated high school and they have been here for at least 5 years. A lot of these students came over as immigrants with their parents when they were very, very young. And it wasn't their choice in coming to the U.S., but we still don't allow them to remain in the U.S., to attend college, to attend graduate school, and that is a big loss to the U.S. because a lot of these students want to go to graduate school. They want to be doctors, they want to be dentists, they want to be teachers, but right now we are often forcing them to be deported back to countries where they don't even speak the language or what have you, and that's lost economic growth for the United States. So that's one way that the U.S. government could help, and another way is through, as the video was talking about, through easing the process for student visas for international students. And right now, one of the big problems is even if a student is approved to come to the U.S. to study, there are all these problems with getting their visa and actually getting to the U.S. So if we can ease that process, that would help a lot. And international students are really important even for our national security, because once they come to the U.S., hopefully have a great education here and make great relationships, then they can go back and they are often leaders of the countries from which they came, and then we can have better relationships with those countries. And also, as the video and the report mention, to diversify and expand the pools, we really need to look at the elementary, secondary, post-secondary education in our society, which, as we all know, has not been performing as well as it used to. It also used to be the greatest public school system in the world, just like our graduate programs are, but it has not been keeping up at all worldwide. And there are a lot of ways that the government can help that through funding as well, but also one of the big things is school violence, and that's a big issue up in Chicago especially. And every day in the U.S., 8 children lose their lives to gun violence, and those are 8 children who never get a chance to succeed, never get to go to college, never get to go to graduate school, and they could be any of the engineers, the teachers, any of that our country needs. And so we really need to make a safe environment for those students so that they can succeed, and so that when they're at schools, they can focus on their goals and getting, a degree, as opposed to just surviving through the day, which is what a lot of them have to deal with. And one of the ways that the senator has been working on that is providing funding to local school districts for model programs to reduce violence, and also funding for after-school programs, because that's the biggest time when these students are subject to this violence. We also, programs like Race to the Top have shown some success. So if we can try to expand those programs that have been successful, that have shown significant improvements in school achievement and graduation rates, that's important as well. In terms of the funding that the government can provide, it's a big funder now and will continue to be, and one of the big ways for that is the loan forgiveness programs that it provides to students, both undergraduate and graduate students. And the senator has been a big proponent of many of these programs. Recently got loan forgiveness for prosecutors and public defenders, and got that funded at a $10 million level for this year, which is great. There's also loan forgiveness for public service employees, so they can have their debt canceled after 10 years of payments. So that can be social workers or firefighters, some teachers, soldiers, a lot of people. So that can help a lot. Teachers have a lot of loan forgiveness possibilities if they work in low-income communities for 5 years, or Teach for America also provides that. And Teach for America also will let you get your master's degree, and they will pay for it while you're a member. So there are great programs like that are definitely important. And there are more that have been introduced in Congress. And so if we can continue to get these passed, that's a big incentive for students to actually go to graduate school knowing that they will be able to get a job and pay off their loans. Financial support up front is important as well. Pell Grants are a big thing for the senator, and the maximum Pell Grant has been increased a lot in the past few years, and that's allowed a lot more students to attend college, which increases the pool as well. There's a $4,000 tuition assistance each year to students who wanting to go into teaching if they agree to teach at a low-income community. There's also educational assistance for service members with the 9/11 GI Bill. That applies to graduate school and undergraduate. So that's providing them an opportunity to get their degrees. And the federal government can also help with the completion rate problem by providing different opportunities for the students while they're in school, and also providing a safe place for them to be. One of the things the senator has been working on is this bill for college mental health services, and that tries to do outreach and identification of students with mental health issues and treat them. And a lot of times in graduate programs, it's very rigorous, and these students can have issues with mental health and being overwhelmed and everything, and a bill like this could really help that. And it's also important that we do reach out to the less represented populations, the more disadvantaged students, and because access to higher education in America really should be a right and not a privilege, and right now it is kind of more of a privilege if you can find the money for it. And programs like the TRIO programs are really important for disadvantaged kids and have provided so many of those kids with the opportunity to go to college. And also there is a Pathways to College Act that the senator has introduced into Congress. It is not passed yet, but it's a competitive grant program to help low-income school districts implement programs and increase the number of students entering in and succeeding in college. So all things like that would be really important and can help out a lot. And in terms of how you can work with the federal government, there are a lot of different ways. I think what this report has done is a really important step because it provides a lot of information and hard facts, which is very important when you're going in to meet with either members of U.S. Congress or members of the state legislature. They really like the hard numbers. And if you can get even more information, like the report was suggesting further research, that would be important as well, so that you can go in and show them exactly why this is such an important issue for our global economy. And we all know the economy is a huge issue right now and is the big focus of most members of Congress. So if you can tie it to that as much as possible, that would really help.